Hello everyone. Once again today we meet. Dear student, a very good morning. Today we are coming here to learn a new topic in this platform. Basically today we are going to learn about a professor given his theory called rebel preference theory. This theory we are going to learn in detail, its assumption and what it is trying to say. So basically when we are studying this particular subject called microeconomics in unit 1, we are dealing with consumer behavior. So this rebel preference theory is going to determine our preference, what we have. Looking at the demographic situation, looking at the market criterions, also the market situations. So we need to choose by looking at the market, what the products are sold thereafter. So rebel preference theory, dear children, through this theory we will learn how to choose and how to make a choice. By choosing a particular product, how much utility we are going to learn. So basically this rebel preference theory is going to help us to make the right choice, being a rational being. As we go ahead, this is the first slide. As I had told earlier, we are going to learn the assumption. Rebel preference theory, its assumption. The first assumption, the consumer buys and uses only two goods, X and Y. The quantities X and Y of these goods are continuous variable, means that the quantity X and Y of these goods are continuously not constant, but rather it can change. It is not fixed, but rather there is a chance of variation. So that's what the first point is trying to say. The consumer buys and uses only two goods, means that he is only or she only buys combination of two goods. There might be combination 1, combination 2 and combination 3, but being a consumer, when we plot a diagram, when there is a diagrammatic representation x-axis and y-axis, we'll be choosing a combination which is touching by the budget line. So dear students, in this assumption 1, the consumer buys and uses only two goods, that is X and Y. The quantities X and Y of these goods are continuous and variable, as I had earlier told you that it goes on varying, it is not fixed. Second assumption, both these goods are of MIB, means that more is better. Being a consumer, we always like to have more of the product or the things which we are attracted to. We want to buy more or possess more. This assumption is also known as the assumption of monotonicity, means that it goes on coming as we see them in the market, one after the another thing. It goes on simultaneously, go on coming into, as we make a choice, we can see those products. So our choice is also based on once we choose a particular thing, rather same time when we see the other product, we are so much attracted to that particular product too. So human minds are never satisfied. So that's what the second assumption is going to talk. Both these goods are of MIB, means that more is better. So as a consumer, we always prefer to have more and more. This assumption is also known as the assumption of monotonicity, as I already explained. This assumption implies that the IC is nothing but indifference curve. Indifference curve represents or shows which touches the budget line in a plotted diagram, which represents or which shows the point of locus from the consumer point that diagram represents. So IC curve always intersect with the budget line of the consumer are negatively sloped. So as we know, indifference curve always slope downward. That is, it shows the negative sloping because the budget line comes from the up and goes down. So that is what assumption 2 is trying to state. Let's go back to assumption 3. The consumer's preferences are strictly convex. So the origin point is in a diagram is a 0. So the convex will always have a straight line which is convex to the origin. So indifference curve is bending in such a way, or the downward part is convex very much to the origin point, that is point of zero. This assumption implies that the IC, that is indifference curve of the consumer, would be convex to the origin, so same point at its staging, which again implies that there would be obtained only one point, the point of tangency. Tangency is nothing but a point of equilibrium or the point of locus. As I told you, the budget line as well as the IC curve, the indifference curve is touching in a plotted diagram. The budget line touching point of origin comes from x-axis to the y-axis bending downward, so it intersect indifference curve. So this is how it works, which again implies that there would be obtained only one point, that is the point of tangency on the budget line of the consumer, that would be chosen by him over all other affordable combination. So my dear student, there is all other affordable combination 1 2 3 4 5, but being a consumer, being a rational consumer, he or she always tries to choose the best which he finds for himself, which is good, which can give him or yield us maximum satisfaction. So that is what it is trying to say. On the budget line of the consumer, that will be chosen by him over all other affordable combination. So being a consumer, maybe it is you or many other consumer in the world, but he or she chooses the best combination, even though he can afford the other. But according to his liking, he or she chooses the best. Let's go back to the next slide. Fourth assumption. The fourth assumption of the RP, that is real preference theory, is known as the weak axiom of RP. WARP is nothing but weak axiom of RP, that is real preference. Here we are going to learn, it talks about a point where it is weak, or real preference theory becomes very big, means that you are not able to make a choice. When you are not able to make a choice, it becomes a very big. So the assumption directly shows a point or shows a time where it becomes very big, being a consumer to choose. Let's go ahead. Here we assume that if the consumer chooses the combination E1, there is a first combination E1, and there is also another combination E2. E1 within the bracket has X1, Y1 over another affordable combination E2. Within the bracket we see X2 goods and Y2 goods in a particular price income situation. Then under no circumstance would he choose E2 over E1 if E1 is affordable. Means that here this assumption is trying to show us or bring a clear picture that he chooses only E1 even he is able to choose E2. Then under no circumstance would he choose E2 over E1 if E1 is more affordable. Means that here the point is very clear that he is only able to choose E1 because the thing is very clear. When there is combination E1, combination E2, combination E3 with different budget line, with different indifference curve intersecting to budget line, but he is only able to choose E1 because one thing we should be very clear here, the price tag has been fixed or the price has been put to a particular product. Okay, being a producer, he is going to put a price which doesn't change. So according to a consumer or you or anyone who will choose E1 because he can only give willingness to pay the price is only E1 rather than E2 or E3. That's what the point 4 is trying to say. Let's go back to the last point. In this point, we'll learn it talks about a strong axiom of RP, that is real preference. The fifth assumption of RP theory is nothing but real preference theory, is known as the strong axiom of RP. SARP means that strong axiom of RP. According to this assumption, if the consumer under different price income situation, reveals the combination of E1 as preferred to E2, E2 to E3, EX1 to EK, then E1 would be revealed preferred. Means that here, being a consumer, he is or she is able to choose any combination. He is not forced, or his IQ level is not forcing her to choose only E1, but rather he is flexible to choose any combination. That's what this point fit this trying to say. That's what, my dear students, this fifth assumption is very clear. That's why it is saying about strong axiom of RP, that is trivial preference, means that you are having a liability to choose any combination. But in the fourth assumption, you are not, because there is a price tag put. But here below, there is no price tag put. That's what an example I can set. If there is no price tag put and all the products are homogeneous, you are comfortable to choose anyone or similar kind of looks, then you prefer to choose any combination. It's not that you are forced to choose only E1 according to your preference. Now, as assumption has been over, we'll go back to his explanation. My dear student, the model assumes that the consumer wants to maximize his level of satisfaction. Means that in this model, Paul Samuelson tried to prove or show, gives a clear picture that being a consumer, he always wants to maximize his level of satisfaction with minimum cost. That is why when he chooses a particular combination, say E1, subject to his budget, that is the price, budget means the price. So say E1, he is choosing or she is choosing E1 subject to his budget. That means that the situation here, he prefer or she prefer the most preferable goods to all other affordable combination, and none of these other combination can be preferred to even under a different budget. So my dear student, I told you the budget line or the price is fixed here for a product. That's why he is only willing to choose E1 rather than E2, E3 or E4, etc. So WARP puts emphasis on this simple but important point. So here the point is focus. Here you see the diagram WARP violated. Means that here you will see a combination in the budget line. Being you as a consumer, you are choosing a point E. You can see in this diagram. You choose a point E, rather some other person in different area, he may or she may choose E2. It's very clear from the diagram, WARP violated. So my dear student, this L2 and M2 is a budget line and L1 and M1 is a budget line. IC is nothing but indifference curve which is intersecting both places. You see E1 and E2 is a point of equilibrium. Also it is termed as point of locus. So here it is very clear. Here you are given a price. So when price is fixed to a particular or price tag is put to a product, you are forced to choose E1 or you are convinced to choose either E1 or 2. So that is what you are choosing, a combination from y-axis to x-axis, one combination rather than choosing the both combination. But when price is not fixed, you are a strong axiom of rebel preference. You're liable to choose or you are given a freedom to choose any combination. Let's go back to another slide. Here we see this particular diagram. It gives or portrays an example or shows a clear picture of strong axiom of rebel preference. So that's what here it says. 6.106 says that WARP not violated. So here you are able to choose any combination. So dear students, I hope these diagrams and this PPT is clear for all of you. Let's go back to what is written below. If a particular combination E1, that is X1 goods and Y1 goods, is directly rebuilt by the consumer as preferred to a different combination E2, that is X2 goods and Y2 goods, then he or she, that is E2, would never be rebuilt by the consumer as preferred to E1. So as a consumer, you choose a 1 point, that is C1, rather than choosing E2. So I hope these diagrams are clear. Concluding, I just like to thank you for the listening in this class. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.